Good evening, everybody. Very pleased to welcome you all to Southern Area Planning Committee, and we are this evening going to be considering land at Hall Green in Malvern. But ahead of that, I'd like to note the apologies received for this meeting today. So I've had apologies from Councillor Natalie McVeigh, Fran and Malcolm Victory, John Gallagher, Jenny Watkins, Councillor Cynthia Palmer, Jeremy Owenson, and I think that's it, is it? Yes. Very good, thank you very much. So, yeah, quite a number of apologies, so well done to those who've made it along this evening. Item 2, declarations of disposable pecuniary interests and other disclosable interests. Just like to ask if anybody has any declarations of interest. No, there are no declarations of interest, so I shall move on to confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. Could I call for a proposer, please, for the minutes? Thank you very much. I'll go with Councillor Driscoll, and seconder, I'll go with Martin Allen, Councillor Allen. Thank you very much indeed. Shall I sign the minutes now, Jen? I'll do it later. Okay, very good. Right, we'll move on to Chair's announcements, item 4. So I'd like to introduce our officers in attendance this evening. So I'm really delighted that we've got Fran Fleming, who's our Senior Planning Officer, who's going to present this evening on this application. Claire Bull, who you all know as our Development Manager. Rachel Cherrington-Walker, our Legal Advisor, who keeps us on the straight and narrow. And Jennifer Hilton-Trout from Democratic Services, and thank you so much for all your organisation, Jen. Before we move to Fran, who's going to present, I just want to say a few words in introduction. That Fran is going to do the whole presentation, so to speak, which we've already seen once before, but we as a committee should only consider the matters on which the application was deferred. So just to make that clear, and as we know, this is a planning, thank you, a permission in principle. I put down the initials, permission in principle. So we're considering location, land use and amount, but actually amount of development, but only in reference to the deferred matters. So I just wanted to make that clear for everybody's consideration this evening. Right, over to you, Fran. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Can everyone hear me okay? Right, so as the Chair's explained, this is a permission in principle application for up to 9 self-build dwellings and associated access road and landscaping. The site is located along Chance Lane in Hall Green. This slide shows the aerial view of the site, which is outlined in red. The only material considerations for the current application are location, land use and amount of development. Further details and considerations would be relevant as part of a subsequent technical details application should this application be granted. This application, as discussed, was discussed at the Southern Area Planning Committee on the 13th of August last year and was deferred due to the potential for archaeological remains within the site, in particular the potential for a deserted medieval settlement. An archaeological evaluation has been carried out by Worcestershire Archaeology, which found no evidence of the medieval settlement being within the application site, and the archaeology and planning advisor of the council is satisfied that no further information is required. So this shows the site outlined in red. It's currently an unused agricultural field and is surrounded by residential development to the north, east and west, and agricultural land to the south. There's a small area to the north of the site outlined in blue, which forms part of the applicant's land ownership but is not within the application site itself. This slide shows a proposed site layout plan, but as this is a permission in principle application, this is indicative only and wouldn't be secured by condition at this stage, and would be subject to change at technical details. Just some photos of the site. So this is a view from the southeast looking towards the application site. The picture on the left is, if you can remember, in August when we met in the lay-by, which is to the southwest corner of the site, and then the picture to the right is the existing agricultural access. Some more photos of the footpath looking west, which is follows the boundary to the south of the application site. And then a view looking north along Chance Lane with the application site on the left. Another one with the application site on the left, and then a view to the south along Chance Lane, and another view looking south along Chance Lane with the application site on the right. And then this is a site photo from 2009, which just shows the hedge before it had matured, just so you can see kind of into the site a little bit more than we were able to on the photos. So the only verbal update I have is just a slight update to our self-build supply. So as of this week, we've been informed by the policy team that we now have a supply of 83 units from 79 in the updates that I provided earlier this week. But that remains above the cumulative total of 71 plots that's required to be granted by the 30th of October 2026. And the recommendation is one of approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that, Fran. And just to note that there is an update sheet in the pack, and you should all have received that, which was sent on the 16th or received on the 16th of March. So I just wanted to check that. Okay, so as we know, we didn't have a site visit because we did the site visit in August last year. And now we're going to move to public participation. We don't have any objector representatives to speak today, but we do have our applicant is represented today by Colin Williams from the Planning Studio. So Colin, you have 3 minutes and we'll be quite strict. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Obviously, the council considered this application back in August on a very hot day, I can remember, when we came down here. And as the planning officer said, deferred the application for two matters, really. One was whether it was in a sustainable transport location, which has been dealt with in the report, but we actually undertook a independent assessment and provided that to the council to assess and to assist with the assessment that can be made to demonstrate that it is sustainably located. It's outside a settlement boundary for local plan, but it's clearly part of or on the edge of the urban area of Great Malvern. So in addition to that, and I think probably the main concern was the archaeological interest, which the planning officer has confirmed. We worked with Worcestershire Archaeology over 3 months, took not just desk-based assessments, but actually trial pits. So we actually dug through the ground to make sure to give the best chance. And to be fair to the applicant, £40,000 and £15,000 a cost could have resulted in some very significant impact if found artifacts and so on. So we are obviously very pleased that there is no record to take further further information or surveys, and that the application is still recommended for approval. So I hope as members you would accept the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams. Okay, I'll move now to the ward members, and I'm looking at Mark. Are you speaking? Right. Thank you very much, Councillor Driscoll.
Yeah, first of all, thanks to the officers again for putting this report together. I just want to say a kind of few words. Obviously, as we already know, this is a deferred application following the site visit and planning committee in the summer. So it's good to see actually the archaeological survey has now been completed, and the evaluation results confirm that the deserted medieval village doesn't impact on this area. I do think it's important that these investigations are completed before planning applications come to committee, so we have all the available information. Obviously, this is a planning in principle, and obviously there are many technical matters that can't be decided at this stage, including access to site, design, etc. So I just want to say, I still have a few concerns about the appropriateness of the site. Obviously, it is outside the development boundary for Malvern. I know further work was done around the supposed sustainability of location. I know this, concerns many residents. The road at Chance Lane is a bit of a rat run. There are no decent pavements. Yes, there is a public footpath that runs along the edge of the site, but speeding traffic access to this road, do make it dangerous. And from a sustainability perspective, the nearest bus stop is still 0.9 miles away. I just concerned really that this site is not ideal from a sustainable transport perspective. But I look forward to hearing from other colleagues in the committee without prejudice.
Thank you very much, Councillor Driscoll. Yes, Councillor Mead.
One question I just wanted to clarify, 5-year plan or housing availability. We're still not at 5 years yet, are we? No. So that will obviously affect any decisions that are made about whether this would win on appeal. I mean, my thoughts are that this is, although technically outside the boundary, is surrounded on 3 sides at least by existing housing. So therefore putting other housing in here wouldn't, I don't think, materially alter the aspect at all. The only concern, of course, we can't really address here is all to do with the access and how the roads go in, but that's not part of this discussion anyway today. That's really my only comment.
Right, thank you very much. Yeah, Councillor Bennett, I just ought to say, so that concludes the ward members present today. So opening up now to other members present. So Councillor Bennett.
When detailed design is sorted out, I would hope that the lethal nature of that road, which is the biggest cut through from the Upton Bridge to basically the retail park, is, I mean, it is so busy. It is not wide enough for 2 vehicles as it is. Why can we not ask, and I'm just suggesting this, that the site incorporates a little bit more width for the road, the main road, just along that one edge, because that would make it sustainable. As it is, if a whole series of cars come out of that proposed access point where it is at the moment onto that road, a lot of people will be in risk of a collision because it is very, very, very difficult to drive through that. I've done it for the last 15 years and it is not very good, I'm afraid. And it should have been bypassed a long time ago, but it hasn't been. Also, when we're talking about sustainability, obviously it then leads to that one-way system which goes down Mayfield Road, which is a nightmare anyway. So, please try and take that into consideration in the when it gets to the detail stage.
Okay, noting your point about the fact that we can't consider that, or that's not part of the consideration today, but asking if it can be considered when technical. So applicant is nodding.
Obviously,
I don't think you can speak actually, but I did want to ask our planning officers about that. So yeah, Claire, are you going to speak?
Yes, of course. We'll be looking at highway safety, access and vehicle movements at technical detail stage. So yeah, they'd have to satisfy the Highways Authority standards, and when that application comes in, we'll consult Highways and take it from there. Well, if that application comes in.
Councillor Wood.
Yes, thank you. I think most of what has been said I was going to say anyway, but I find myself really conflicted on this one. We've got oversupply on self-build, so we don't need self-build housing. The site is outside the boundary, but as Councillor Mead says, it's surrounded mainly by housing. I've got friends who live in Hall Green and live just opposite in the Garford Road. none of them would walk to the bus stop. They all drive. It's quite a walk, and it's not a particularly nice walk. And I just think, in terms of sustainability, I know, you know, there are set miles that people walk. I don't think people do walk, especially if they're carrying their shopping. You know, and to get to the bus stop is quite a long way. So I think I'm absolutely down the middle at the moment. I wait to be persuaded one way or the other.
Right, any other members want to contribute? Thank you.
I also support Paul and other members here on this question of safety. I used to use this road regularly as a rat run. You can see from the photograph that the footpaths are almost non-existent in places. And when you consider that the nearest primary school is in Madresfield Village, I would not even begin to think of the implications of children of that age walking to Madresfield.
Thank you, Councillor Mills. I'd just like to remind committee that the opportunity for consideration of safety issues for the planning in principle was August, and that is not a part of the deferred item. So it is not the basis for the decision today. Of course, we can discuss it if we want to, but it shouldn't be part of our decision today. The decision today, it was deferred on the basis of the archaeological interest, and I believe that is the primary issue. So just wanted to sort of emphasise that for members today. As has been stressed, when it gets to technical stage, then further issues can be considered at that point. So right, remaining open to members before I look for a proposal for a recommendation or a resolution. Thank you, Councillor Allen.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good evening, Council, and thank you for your reports. I remember the meeting in August. It was a very long meeting, and I did attend the site visit. And I agree with Councillor Bennett that the road is too narrow and needs to be broadened. But tonight, we can't make a decision based on that or the width of the footpath. I wish we could, but we can't. We should have done that in August, and we didn't do it. And you could say perhaps we've made a mistake then. I think maybe we should have voted it down then if we were going to vote it down. This is a planning in principle. So lots of things that we'd like to talk about, we can't because it's pointless. And we did defer it, mainly, I think, I know we talked about transport and accessibility, but I think the main thing, members, if I remember correctly, was about the survey. I was very concerned about the survey. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending which way you look at it, it's come back and there's nothing there. And we've got to remember that the applicant has spent money having this survey done. And I think the problem is that if we turn this down tonight, we will be seen by a planning inspector, I have no doubt, to have acted totally unreasonably. And you can be certain the applicant will go to a planning inspector. We haven't got a 5-year land supply. If we'd actually had the vote, we would, but we haven't had the vote till next week. So we haven't, and we're determining it today. So we've got to go on the basis we haven't got a 5-year land supply, and we're going to act unreasonably if we turn it down. And I think that's a great shame, but unfortunately, I think legally that is where we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that explanation of where we are, Councillor Allen. I think our officers, at least I certainly can see that that is where we are. Councillor Wilde or Rain, who haven't spoken, do you want to say anything? Yeah.
Yes, well, I propose that we approve.
Okay. We happy with that? Not councillor, but Rachel. Sorry. Sorry, councillor Allen.
And I'll second that.
Oh, thank
You need a
very much.
seconder.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks very much. Right, we've got a proposal for a proposer and a seconder, and a proposal for the vote.
Thank you, Chair. All those in favour of the proposal to approve, please raise your voting cards now. That's 5 in favour. All those against? 2 against. Any abstentions? 2 abstentions. Motion to approve is carried, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed, everybody. I would like to close the meeting. Thank you all for your participation on the first day of, I think probably the first real day of spring. So thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.